Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Alien Force Retrospectives, and today we're going to be looking at episode 13 of Ben 10 Alien Force / the final episode of season 1, X equals Ben plus 2. And in this episode, we meet a new race of aliens / new villains. In this case, we're introduced to the Incursion Empire. Essentially, it's an entire alien race of humanoid frog people who pretty much like war. Like, they're backstabbing, blood hungry, love to fight, and any failure is rewarded with death. And pretty much if you pretty much any race they come across, they either enslave or wipe out. These guys are relentless, and in this case, the princess Atea has just been kidnapped by a bounty hunter named 77. And I'm gonna briefly talk about this guy because yeah. So it's just exactly what you think it is. 7-7 is exactly like 6-6. Kind of. His armor design is slightly different. His armor design is different, but it has enough in common with 6-6 so you can tell they're the same, that they're similar. And they even say in the show they're from the same species, that they're the same species, but 7-7's more dangerous. And 7-7, for what he is pretty much just like 6-6, except different set of armor. He even has the same, like, even with 6-6, how 6-6 says things in his native tongue, and we as the viewers can't understand it, but almost everyone else can. It's still a constant with him. So yeah, he's pretty much just, he's there. He's nice, and that's pretty much it. But anyway, 7-7 has kidnapped Atea, so the Emperor Milius thinks that it was from one of their enemies, so he sends his Royal Domo Raph and a small battalion of Incursion soldiers down to the nearest planet to investigate, and that nearest planet happens to be Earth. And so, as Ben, Gwen, and Kevin are debating whether they go to an auto show or to the lake, the Incursions and Raph come and hold them at a gunpoint, but it turns out Raph and Kevin know each other. As while Kevin was on the lam for all those years, he met with Raph and they both worked together. He lets him know that Atea has been kidnapped, and Ben and Gwen want to help because right thing to do, but Kevin doesn't really see a point in it till Milius threatens the Earth on a radio signal, which unfortunately no one on Earth can pick up because it's a faster than light signal. So only Kevin's car is able to get it since it's augmented with alien tech. But Milius says that if his daughter isn't returned soon, he's going to destroy the Earth with his weapon called the Conquest Ray. So they decide. So of course the group realizes they have to stop. They have to save Atea, or else all their planet's gonna die. So Kevin gives So it turns out that the army has a little patch of her clothes. So Gwen uses a tracking spell to find them at a dam, and Atea is fighting back against 7-7 as she has her own little ship, and she manages to put up her own fight. But the group teleports to them. But unfortunately, in the shootout between 7-7 and Atea, it turns out that some of the lasers hit the dam, and it's actually causing the dam to leak. And as more battle continue, the dam starts to break down. Ultimately, the Incursions and Raph and Ben manage to get away, but Kevin and 7-7 and Atea get swept up in the floods. Gwen manages to shield herself, and the Incursions all get sucked up. The only one that's still okay is Ben, as he's high enough up so that he wasn't caught in the current. So Ben realizes, I need to go hero, I need to stop this, I need to find a way to fix all this. So he starts searching through his aliens, and so he finally comes across his 10th alien, the final alien of his new roster, an alien that he has never used before, but he just says, you know what, screw it, might as well try it. And so Ben smacks down the alien, and we get the introduction of my all-time favorite Ben 10 alien, Alien X. And I'm not going to go into why I like him. I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to explain my reasoning after I talk about everything else, because this whole episode is essentially just explaining Alien X. And I'll get more into detail about that when I actually start talking about him. So, anyway, but I can really talk about his design. Alien X is kind of humanoid in appearance. His hands his body pretty much looks like the outline of the sky. It's human. He's slightly muscular. He has white hands, but his body is like a starry sky. His head is round. He's got 3 horns on his head. He's got green eyes, but no mouth, and the omnitrix is on his chest, and he can speak in 3 voices. One is Ben's, but two, and there are 2 others who we will learn about, who I will talk about. And and with a wave of his hand, he not only stops all the water, but he fixes everything. He fixes the dam. He puts it all back together. He puts it all back together. It's like it never broke down in the first place. Pretty much everyone's safe. They think, oh man, this is cool. If he can do that, this guy's got to be our go-to. But just they're talking about that it turns out 7-7 is safe too. So he grabs a Taya and flies off. They tell Ben, go and take care of her. But for some reason now, Ben's not moving. Alien X, he's just frozen. He's not talking. He's not reacting. He's not doing anything. He just stands there. Eventually, and everyone's starting to get worried. Gwen thinks that he's hurt, but Kevin denies it. They think he might be resting. But we soon see what's going on in Alien X's head. It turns out there's more than one. Ben is not the only one living up here and there. It turns out that Alien X has 2 other personalities in his head, Serena and Bellicus. Serena is the voice of love and compassion, and she's a feminine voice, while Bellicus is the voice of rage and aggression. He's more aggressive, and they do have appearances. They're pretty much just 2 giant green faces, and their appearances kind of reflect their statuses. And Serena's kinder and more nice towards Ben, while Bellicus is just kind of a jerk. But pretty much we see in Alien X's head that they state that the only way that pretty much in order for Alien that they're pretty much telling Ben that in order for Alien X to do anything, they have to deliberate and agree on something. So Ben, getting worried, asks to look in on his friends, and so they allow him to see through Alien X's eyes. And the group so as the group's trying to figure out what's going on with Ben, it turns out they have a little bit more of Taya's clothing, so Gwen's going to try and track them. But at that point, Milius beams him back up because the time's up, and he decides to show up power. He crawls down to the earth again, but of course no one can hear him. So strangely enough, he fires the ray, but it doesn't. It turns out that it's not actually aiming for Earth. Instead, but he did fire it. As they show some an image of Pluto, and Pluto blows up, but good. So at this point, the group realizes this is just bad, very bad. But at that point, 7-7 contacts that Milius, and pretty much he makes his demand. So they decide, okay, well, fine. We have no other options. Let's just agree to them. And so Gwen thinks that, oh, we're done then. He gets his daughter back. Everything's good, but it turns out Kevin has more knowledge is aware of the incursion's more psychotic streaks, and so it turns out Milius, just out of spite, it wants pretty much Kevin, Gwen, Ben, and their entire planet gone now because they were there. Because, well, if they're not a threat to them, they're not going to do it. They don't need to have any use for them, so just wipe them out. Get rid of them. So the group, Gwen and Kevin managed to escape, with Ben actually kind of sticking out in the trunk because that's where they put him. And of course, Ben saw all of this, so he thinks we need to do something. We need to stop them. But Serena and Bellicus aren't really going for it. So Ben says, "Okay, you know what? Fine. We gotta do something now. I'll do it." So because in Alien X's mind, Ben is still Ben. So Ben goes for the Omnitrix, tries to transform, but nothing happens. And when we go back to it turns out Serena and Bellicus clarify Alien X can't do anything, which is the reason why Ben has been stuck like this. Ben, even something as simple as moving an arm, or talking, or just doing anything at all, requires at least 2/3 of these morons to actually agree on something. And unfortunately, Serena and Bellicus have been arguing for a long time, which kind of is weird if you stop and think about it, because Alien X is just what happens when the celestial sapien DNA mixes with Ben. So I don't know. That actually does confuse me. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But Serena and so Ben says that and so they reveal to Ben and so they tell Ben the dark truth. Because they've been in a deadlock for so long, Ben's a tiebreaker. it's a third voice in Alien X's head that can settle any arguments they have, any problems that come up, because they've been doing this for so long. We even see that they've been doing it so long that one of their table motions is saving the dinosaurs from extinction, even though they're long dead. And so as such, they don't want Ben to turn back. With him here, they finally have someone that can settle all their arguments, and so they're not very willing to let Ben go. So Ben realizes just kind of how bad things are, and so in the real world, Gwen and Kevin are just trying to avoid the incursions. They manage to do it well enough, but they eventually run into 7-7 and Atea, he's here to drop her off. At that point, the incursions catch up to them, and so 7-7 releases Atea, and Milius runs up to hug her, only for 7-7 to point his guns at Milius, and Atea orders the guards to seize him. It turns out that, as per the backstabbing, Atea offered 7-7 an even bigger bounty to help her overthrow her dad. So Gwen thinks again, oh, we're done, it's fine, we're good, she's nice, the evil dictator's gone, I'll just go get Ben, we can go. But again, bunch of a-holes. Atea grabs the... Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. But when they escape, they grabbed the... Gwen and Kevin grabbed the trigger for the conquest race. So Atea snatches it back, and it turns out that a tradition among the incursions is that whenever a new emperor or empress comes into power, they celebrate by a show of force, aka annihilating a planet. So Atea is still planning to blow up the planet. As such, eventually they're able to subdue Gwen and Kevin ultimately, and she doesn't even really bother. She doesn't bother with Ben because he's been frozen for so long, and so she says she'll spare Gwen and Kevin, and so pretty much she's gonna lock Ben in a dungeon, put Gwen and Kevin in a zoo. The world is screwed, and of course Ben is seeing this, and he's just getting so mad and angry and so pissed that he finally just calls Serena and Bellicus out on all the stupidity. He says, he tells Serena, you're supposed to be love and compassion, how can you let all these people die? He looks at Bellicus and says, you're anger and aggression, why are you not angry at all this wrong? Why are you two so useless? At which point they actually do get offended, and as he keeps chewing them out, it causes Serena to cry, and Bellicus to finally say, okay, fine, you want to save the planet, I vote we save the planet, you happy? But Ben actually says no to this. He says, no, I am tired of your crap. All these people have been in danger, and you two have just been sitting here thinking about, the procedure. No, I got 9 other guys on this watch who can do it better than you two. And so, you actually kind of is a quiet moment as Serena and Bellicus actually do look hurt. But in the meantime, in the real world, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin have been locked up in a cage. Atea gets out the trigger for the conquest ray, but just before she can press the button, there's a flash of green light in the cage, and Ben is now swamp fire, and he manages to go out, and it's a very nice, and it's a very awesome moment as she freezes and this is actually a very funny way that they beat the incursions, as earlier in the episode Kevin absorbed the rubber of his tires, and so when an incursion laser hit the tire, it caused burning rubber, which is a bad smell altogether, and so Ben, because swamp fire has methane flowing through his body, he just stinks. As such, he only attacks a few incursions, but when any of them get too close, they all just gag and pass out. It's actually very funny. So Ben goes up to Atea. Atea still doesn't want to do it, but then Milius comes out holding a blaster and telling her, fun's over, give it back. So Ben frees Gwen and Kevin. Milius orders his guards to put Atea in stasis jail, though he does say he's proud of her for the attempted coup. Actually, to show as a bit of gratitude for actually helping him get his throne back, he lets Ben, Gwen, and Kevin go while sparing their planet. So, at the end of the episode, Gwen and Kevin are asked about what was going on with him, and so Ben states that he's never using Alien X again because while it was probably his most powerful transformation, it wasn't worth the price that came with it. So, yeah, that episode itself it's all right for what it is. It's not a bad story, and I like the villains. I do actually like the incursions. They're entertaining. They're stupid, but it's the entertaining kind of stupid. Like their entire society's about war and stabbing each other in the back. For them, being a dick is the norm. That's what gets them ahead in life. That's how they move along, and it's even exemplified by Milius. It's even exemplified by Milius. He's short tempered. This is how it is. Like in the beginning of the episode, when one of Matea's personal guards reports that Matea's missing, he annihilates the guy, and he annihilates the guy as a show of mercy because it's a quick death, and the guy just salutes before being destroyed. It's actually it's kind of, again, it's rather entertaining, especially Milius. Milius is such a short-tempered idiot, and Atea is no better. In this case she's the bratty child, but in this world it's probably that's actually considered the good child, and she's voiced by Tara Strong, so she does good, and she does bratty child well too. So, and again, I like 7-7 as a villain. I think he's really nice. Well, not really. Again, it's kind of on the same level as 6-6. 6-6 is cool. 7-7's nice. I just wish I knew what they were saying. That's really it. But I'm trying to think. I want to talk about as much as I can before I get to the real meat of why I like this episode. Well, actually, no, it's not even the meat. It's just why I like Alien X. I'm just trying to think. I think one of the funnier. I think that's what the episode was. It was kind of a comedy-based episode. More I think about it. Like Raph is just a toady, even though Raph is just this spineless wimp. Like the only time he ever stands up for himself, he just he does whatever Milius says. He's kind of nonchalant about everything. He's just kind of afraid. Like he's obviously afraid of everyone. He just agrees that pretty much he's the kind of guy that is loyal to his master until someone overthrows them, and then he's loyal to them. I'd say he's like the Starscream in that regard, except Starscream actually had more ambition than this guy. Also power and conniving and so forth. This guy's just a wimp. Just trying to think. The action is still nice, and I think one of my favorite parts, and again, going back to the comedy, just kind of seeing Benton, Serena, and Bellicus work off each other is actually really nice, because Bellicus is a jackass. Serena is just serene. Bellicus and Serena are just kind of like an old married couple. Like Serena obviously still cares about Bellicus and well-being, and it's kind of hinted that Bellicus cares about her well-being too. But he's just kind of a jerk to them both. One of my favorite scenes is when Bellicus says that if that saving Earth is new business, they got old business to take care of. So he brings up table motion 80 million and 3 with the dinosaurs, and Ben just pretty much shoots it down, saying, "I propose to move on to new business until the Earth is no longer in danger." Serena's just seconds it immediately, and Ben and Serena just have shit-eating grins on their faces, while Bellicus just looks grumpy. It's nice. It's very amusing. I'm trying to think what else is there. I really don't know what else I can talk about. I think I like Bellicus and again. I like the villains. I kind of like I kind of like the dynamic with the three. I really don't know what else I want to talk about. I know I had a mental note. I remembered I know I want to talk about something, but I forgot what it was on this episode. So I don't know. So anyway, since I think I talked about everything else I want to talk about, I'm going to discuss what Alien X. Before we begin, I want to discuss some history before the episode. Namely, this episode was built up big time. Because if you actually watch Ben 10 Alien Force, then in the opening theme, they showcase each of Ben's aliens, each of them in dynamic poses, going into fights. And when I was a kid, when they were building up to Alien Force, they kept showing ads for all the aliens, and as an obsessed Ben 10 fan, I wanted to get them all down. I got a list out and started writing all their names out, and I always keeping them in the order of when they were discussed. But as I made the list, I realized there were only 9 names on my list. Where was number 10? Who was the 10th alien? And every time I saw the ad, I got the list ready, but I never saw it. I just kept thinking, what's going on? Where's the 10th alien? And even in the theme song, I thought, okay, this will show us who the alien is. No, we see the outline, but we don't see him. It was built up big time. And so after The Plumber's Helpers was aired, they started showing ads for this episode. And they built up the mystery big time. Like they said, Alien X is coming. Like they said, he said he was probably the most powerful, the most strong, the greatest alien, but but with that power came a price. That was, and it hyped up everybody. I was thinking, oh man, what is this? What is this? I can't wait. It's gonna be Alien X is the alien number 10. We can finally see what is it. What's so big a deal? What's so big about it? So when this episode aired, Alien X was kind of the point of it. Fans wanted to see it, and admittedly, it was disappointing. And and before we get into that, and the reason it was disappointing was because, as I mentioned in the summary, for 90% of the episode, Ben doesn't do anything because of Alien X's problems. When he does do something, it's awesome. The very first thing Alien X does when he transforms is wave his hand, and that's all you need. Essentially for Alien X, it's like a parlor trick. He just waves his hand, and the dam is fixed. That's it. And it is so, and all you have to do is see that, and you think, oh my god, that is awesome. And that's exactly what Alien X is. He's awesome. Like that. But people were annoyed because you didn't see much with him anymore. And if you actually looked at the drawback, it wasn't as big as what you thought. But for me personally, I feel the weakness is what makes the weakness itself, combined with that power, is exactly why Alien X is my favorite Ben 10 alien of all time. Because you see, Alien X is all powerful. Like, he can do anything, be anything. In Omniverse, in one episode, he literally recreated the universe. He can do whatever he wants, any time he wants, without, it's just, he has the power to alter reality to his whim. And let's be honest, if Ben had complete unabated access to that power, it wouldn't be good. Because, well, it's all that amazing power, and on top of that, hence why there's more than one personality in there. So such power can't be held by one person. Why there's 3 personalities in Alien X's head. Each of them decide how it works, what they do with it. Each of them have their own ambitions, and while the other 2 help level it out. It makes sense, but what makes it work is that the weakness makes using that power that much more risky. I know, basically, because Serena and Bellicus are always in a deadlock, and they need Ben to be their tiebreaker. As such, because they won't let Ben transform back, and that's where the risk comes in. Ben, whenever he transforms into Alien X, runs the risk of never being able to transform back, never being able to interact with his family or friends or loved ones ever again, to be frozen completely, trying to settle arguments inside Alien X's head, just being trapped there. You can't do anything. This entire episode, he was trying to get Serena and Bellicus to listen and actually put in some effort. He was helpless throughout this whole episode. That's why he was getting so mad. And that's exactly why I think Alien X is so cool, because the weakness levels him out. With Alien X's power, it makes him a major it makes him, in case of emergency, break glass. The most extreme variety, because the situation, because if you know that if Ben is willing to put up with the risk of being trapped forever in this alien form, floating in a black spacey void with these 2 numbnuts who can't even agree on what to do, can't even agree to what to get for lunch, then it needs to be something serious. And that's why I think Alien X works. And on top of that, because you don't see much of him, when he does appear, it makes what he is more awesome. Because, again, he waved his hand and the whole dam came back. In one of the video games, he was being shot at by a null void projector at close range, at point blank range, and he waved his hand, causing the ray to freeze before it hit him, go back and suck in an entire spaceship. That is awesome. And because he doesn't see more often, it builds up. You kind of think, oh, is this a situation? And it can be maddening sometimes, but it's a giant, in case of emergency, break glass, and it's the most extreme variety. That's why I think Alien X works. He's got all this power, all this universe, but the weakness keeps it so that he isn't overused or becomes boring. Because let's be honest, and I already revealed one spoiler for Omniverse, so I'm not going to go into it. But let's just say, but I'm just going to say one thing. In Omniverse, they do something that kind of takes away that. And admittedly, I think it was a mistake. I don't like that. Because if Ben has complete unabated access to all this power, one of two things could happen. One, he overuses Alien X. He overuses Alien X and either gets corrupted or the show gets boring. Because if you can do all of that with just waving your hand, then where's the conflict? Where's the desire to think, "Oh, how is he going to get out of this?" No, just go Alien X. Fix it all. No big deal. And then, of course, you could also run the risk of, well, it's too powerful. I'm not going to use it on a regular basis. But then it makes you wonder, why doesn't he use it? He could solve so many problems. Like, if it becomes too much, like, okay, Alien X, whoop, done. Who wants smoothies? That's exactly what my biggest, that's why, man, this is the issue I have. That's exactly it. For me, Alien X is good because of his weakness. When he does actually do stuff, it's awesome. I love it. But the weakness keeps it leveled out so that only when the situation requires it, and I think that's what makes it work. That's why I think that's why I consider Alien X my favorite alien, because he doesn't appear often, but when he does appear, you know that it's serious, and you know that if he does do something, it's gonna be awesome. But with all that said, why was this a disappointment? Well, it's because this is my opinion. Because let's be honest, Ben 10, regardless of the show, you kind of want action. In this case, Alien X was built up big time. Said he was going to be this big alien, like he was going to have this giant risk, and with all how the ads made it looked like that was going to be like a big major conflict, but it's not. The conflict is just Gwen and Kevin are the ones dealing with the main conflict. Alien X, for the majority of the episode, he's in the back of Kevin's car. That's not impressive. Just, you say big risk, and yeah, it is a big risk, but not as big as but it wasn't a risk that was worth building up. You can say, like, I think if they actually aired the episode like normal, they could say, on the season finale of Ben 10 Alien Force, new alien, Ben is now returning back, and then you can see the incursions. I think that would have been nice, and the episode itself is fine enough on its own. I just think it didn't need as much build. I just think the build-up was the major downfall. The reveal was so overhyped that when you actually saw it, it was a letdown. It still set up that Alien X is too risky to just abuse, but at the same time, it wasn't worth the wait. I honest to God think it was not worth it. And I think that was its major failing. So, yeah, on the whole, again, I like the episode. I really do. Alien X is still my favorite. Alien X is pretty much it's a reveal of one of my favorite alien of all time. The villains are nice, and I think the story is, it's fine enough, kind of silly enough to be enjoyable. But I can understand why people consider it a letdown, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little let down too. But on the whole, I think it's a fine enough episode on its own. Probably not big enough to be considered a season finale, but on it by itself, I think it's a good episode. So if you're interested, be my guest, watch it. But I will openly admit, while I like it, there are probably better episodes in the show. So yeah. I think that's really all I have to say. I spent almost a half hour talking about this episode, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and tune in next week where we begin season 2 of Ben 10 Alien Force. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll see you next month. Take care.